Speaking of WhatsApp messages, I want to introduce you to someone that I've talked about before, but you've probably forgotten. It's been months and I understand. Meet Andrea Johnson. Hey, this story is one that should make everyone watching this video who cares about institutional integrity genuinely worried, because Andrea Johnson is not a peripheral figure in the accountability landscape. She is the head at the top, the very top of the investigating directorate against corruption. You know that as the IDAC in South Africa, the body specifically established to investigate and prosecute high-profile and complex corruption cases, the body that issued arrest warrants against crime intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo and Major General Nosipho Madondo. The body that is supposed to be the last line of institutional defense against exactly the kind of conduct the Madlanga Commission has been documenting. And last Friday, the commission heard evidence suggesting that, I almost bit my tongue, suggesting that Andrea Johnson herself allegedly protected Feroz Khan from prosecution 8 years ago. Now, here is the specific allegation that retired Hawks Colonel Cobus Relofetse, no, that's not his surname. It's Cobus Relofse. Yes, not Relofetse. I don't even know if there's a surname like that exists. It's Cobus Relofse. Sorry, these people have really complicated surnames, all right? And I do my best to pronounce them. I'm not the best. But yeah, Cobus Relofse testified about this on Friday, the 10th of July in 2018. A crime intelligence officer identified as Brigadier Leonora Petle operated a criminal case of assault and intimidation against Feroz Khan. Why? Well, you see, the complainant alleged that Khan had stabbed her with a pen during an altercation, causing multiple injuries, and it said to her in a recording that was played before the commission, "A pen is very powerful." Not my words, that person's words. A separate audio recording captured Feroz Khan telling Petle, "I'm General Khan to you, I'm not your friend." He then allegedly committed the assault by stabbing her with a pen. These are like students fighting in class. What is this? What is this? There is a formal criminal docket about this. There was a J88 medical report even documenting Petle's injuries. There was an audio recording. This was a real criminal complaint with real documentary evidence against a senior crime intelligence official. And then Andrea Johnson, who was at that time a senior prosecutor at the NPA, allegedly did something that Relofse described to the commission as deeply improper. She allegedly obtained the contents of the confidential criminal docket through Barry Bateman, who was at the time a journalist and is now AfriForum's communications manager, and then shared those contents with General Khan, the criminal suspect, before he submitted his own version of events. So in other words, to make this simpler for you to understand, General Khan sounds like some enemy in Mortal Kombat. He allegedly received the evidence against him, including the complainant's statement. He received her J88 medical report, received the audio recording, before he wrote his own warning statement to the police. How on earth is this fair? In what universe is this fair? Is that even allowed? He basically prepared his defense with full knowledge of what the evidence said. Relofse told the commission that the sequence was deeply concerning because in any properly conducted criminal investigation, the suspect is not entitled to see the complainant's statement before providing their own account. The purpose of a warning statement is to get the suspect's version of events without them having been able to tailor it to counter the evidence. So basically this didn't work. This was useless because the aim of Feroz Khan to write his response was so that the authorities can hear his side of the story before they see, okay, he's lying. But Feroz Khan already had access to her complaint, so he was able to write his version of events in a way that can counter her version of events. How is that fair? How is this going to help? If Khan saw the evidence first, the integrity of that warning statement is fundamentally compromised. Basically, that's big English for saying it's useless. It doesn't work anymore. Riolovse also testified that Johnson used what he described as an off-the-grid communication channel, specifically a Gmail account, rather than her official NPA email, for the exchange of the documents to keep everything private. You see, this made this just useless. The intention of this all was removed by Khan looking at this. And he said that the use of a personal rather than official account suggested that she was aware of what she was doing and was not above board. So the commission's chairperson, Justice Madlanga, described the conduct alleged as impropriety. That is the word the retired Constitutional Court Justice himself said. Impropriety. From the head of South Africa's premier anti-corruption body about conduct allegedly committed in 2018, which I actually didn't mention, by the way. All this happened in 2018. What was I? I was like in the 7th grade, picking my boogers, wondering what the next episode of Dragon Ball Z was and Naruto. I didn't care about this. But then you had a general compromising documents. There is one more connection that makes this even more uncomfortable. We have discussed, you and me, by we I mean you and me, in previous episodes, the allegation that Andrea Johnson's husband, Junaid Johnson, JJ, works inside crime intelligence, and that Johnson herself allegedly sat on the interview panel that selected her husband for his position inside the very institution whose officials IDAC is now supposed to be investigating and prosecuting. Public Interest SA filed a criminal complaint with the Hawks about this specific allegation. And now the commission is hearing that the same Andrea Johnson allegedly protected Feroz Khan from prosecution in 2018. The head of the anti-corruption body, with a husband inside crime intelligence, who allegedly shielded a crime intelligence general from a criminal case, who is now supposed to be protecting people connected to that same crime intelligence general. What is going on? If this was a Netflix series, it would be rejected for being too implausible. But it is real, and it is on public record. How ridiculous is our justice system? And Andrea Johnson is scheduled to testify, by the way, before the commission to answer for this. And I'm going to tell you what happened. I want to make something very clear before we move on. Johnson denies wrongdoing. She has said she plans to present the facts. Her testimony today may well provide context or explanations that significantly damage how the evidence that has been led against her looks. That is why we have adversarial processes. That is why witnesses get to respond. But the allegations, as presented by a retired Hawks colonel with specific documented details spanning an 8-year timeline, including email records, testify from witness O, who forwarded the documents, and Riolovse's own account of bypassing normal channels to report his concerns because Johnson's position meant he could not go through her. These are not vague insinuations. They are specific and detailed, and they connect directly to the broader web of protection around Feroz Khan that the commission has been mapping for months. The picture that emerges when you put Malema's stories and Andrea Johnson's story together is genuinely alarming. You've got a crime intelligence general whose sole purpose is to be against crime, who allegedly had a political figure by the name of Julius Malema, providing him parliamentary cover, and a senior prosecutor allegedly providing him with legal cover simultaneously. And if both sets of these allegations are correct, then Feroz Khan was operating in 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021 with protection coming from two completely separate directions simultaneously. From Parliament through the EFF's relationship with him mediated by Mohammed Sayed, and the prosecuting authority through Andrea Johnson, allegedly ensuring his criminal case was undermined before it could proceed. And then in 2025, when the Madlanga Commission starts pulling on these threads, the man at the whole center of it all gets shot 3 days before he's due to testify. Who is that man? Feroz Khan. By the way, on Sunday, before the Tuesday he was supposed to testify, he got shot outside his house. You can't make this up.